Good morning, friends. Last time I talked to you was, it's got to be weeks ago at this point. It's summer, so I'm not super invested in coming to work because I'm on a 9-month contract and I don't actually get paid for doing work during the summer. So anyway, this is on my dime. I came into work this morning because I intended to work on a paper that I'm committed to writing by the end of the month, which is coming soon. So I was hoping to get that done. I need the internet for that, and I've had not much success making myself work at home. I'm too busy with kids and my sculptures and stuff like that. Anyway, internet not working in the building today. So I thought I would make a quick video just to touch base with you. So the videos that I've made about Graham Hancock's book so far and some Josh Reeves stuff and some other stuff, whatever, they get comments, you know, 1 or 2 a day sometimes. Most of those are negative. That means that I am reaching the audience that I think I'm trying to reach. I wish I could read some for you and just respond to them that way, but like I said, internet's broken. So you can, of course, read them for yourselves, but you know, a lot of people calling me a fool, saying I'm a bad scholar, I'm inside the academic box, yada, yada, yada. It's like some of you don't even actually watch the video. You just want to try to hurt my feelings. You know, be my guest. The fact that you're all commenting means that you're watching, and it's also, your comments also make it apparent that many of you really don't understand what scientific archaeology is. So I'm glad that you're watching my videos, and I hope that you stick around. Maybe you will learn something. That would be nice, wouldn't it? One of the things I and other academic archaeologists get accused of is having some kind of agenda. Agenda meaning, you know, a goal in for saying what we're saying. I do have an agenda, and I am going to talk about that agenda more at the end of the video. As I was thinking about making this video, I remember, I think it was Scott Walter, after he backed out of doing my forbidden archaeology class the first time around, and I think it was on Twitter, but again, no internet, so I can't go check it. But he's, you know, he gave, it was kind of one of his rationales, part of his rationale for backing out is that, you know, Andy White has an agenda. He may have even said that on his blog, I don't know. And I do, and I'm going to let you in on the secret agenda toward the end of the video. But first, I wanted to give you a little bit of background about where I'm coming from here. I think some people that watch these videos think, you know, who the hell is this guy? Like, he's not the New York Times best-selling author, you know, he's just some idiot sitting in an office somewhere spouting off about things he knows nothing about, and how dare he, you know, question Graham Hancock, and how dare he say that red-haired giants don't exist. And here's a little bit of background on me. So I have been doing archaeology as a professional since about early 90s. I think 1993, 1994 is when I started getting paid to do it. I didn't know much about archaeology at the time. I started off at the bottom as a field tech working at Indiana University. So I'm coming up on almost 30 years doing this. I have done field work mostly in the Midwest, Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, a little bit in Kentucky, some in Illinois. Now I've been in South Carolina for several years, so I've been working down here. I've also done a few stints overseas. Went to Montenegro twice to work on Cervantes-Stiena there, which is the deepest stratified sequence in Europe. Spent a summer in the Pacific doing a survey on the island of Rota in the Marianas Islands. So I've done a few things. Let me show you something. This is not even displayed proudly on my wall, but it's kind of an important document. See what's in the envelope. Haven't looked at it in a long time. Oh, look at that. Well, try to center that for you. It's a degree from the University of Michigan. You know, not to be Andy Bernard here, but look it up in terms of anthropology. See where it ranks in terms of, you know, schools where you might learn a thing or two. Like I tell my students, young folks in their early 20s who are coming in, green as grass, never done any archaeology, whatever. I don't know everything. Nobody knows everything. There are plenty of things left to learn. But there are a lot of things that we do know. I'm not some guy who read something on the internet, read a book, and decided that he's going to rewrite history. I'm a person who has been studying this stuff for a long time. I know the areas of prehistory that I work in. I know them well. I have a smattering of knowledge about other places in the world. I cannot have a detailed conversation with you without doing a lot of background reading about ancient Egypt or ancient China or the Indus Valley. I know about those things. I know the kind of broad arc of the stories because I've taught that in intro level courses, but I'm not a professional who has worked in those regions for years, and I'm not going to pretend to be one. And you guys shouldn't either. That's a pro tip for you. I can tell you that there is no academic conspiracy to control or repress information about the human past. It does not exist. And over the course of my career, I have worked on dozens of sites. And I have found archaeological sites that nobody had ever found before. Not once have I found some kind of artifact that suggests to me that the general outlines of our story of prehistory are wrong. The site I'm working on now in Fairfield County, just north of here, has a stratified sequence that's thousands of years, 5,000 years, 7,000 years, who knows? We haven't gotten to the bottom of it yet. All the artifacts and the time periods are in place where they're supposed to be. A sequence that was worked out starting in the 30s and 40s with the cultural historical stuff and with Coe's stuff later on in North Carolina. If there's some ancient civilization that existed during that time that we know nothing about, like how come we don't see it when we have archaeology that is intact, where we can actually see the layers, that those layers have never been disturbed by anything but bugs and tree roots and that sort of thing. And that's the case over and over again. I've worked on sites with preserved buried deposits that are sealed below meters of alluvium on the Ohio River floodplain. The stuff that's back there that deep in time is interesting for a lot of reasons, but not because it's concealing something that is fantastical, that nobody has ever seen before. If that sort of thing exists, I have never seen it in person, doing this for almost 30 years now, and I don't know a single other professional archaeologist who has seen something that would just blow your mind and prove that everything we think we know is wrong. You can ask any of them. These are also normal people who go out, put their boots on in the morning and do their jobs and have their eyes open, and their jobs are to find things, describe them, discover them, put them in context, understand them, communicate to other archaeologists. The information that we produce is accurate. And a lot of these, kind of ideas about, finding things that are out of place and they're hidden from the public and all that sort of stuff. It's a bunch of nonsense. It's a bunch of nonsense. And you guys are acting like chumps if you believe it. You're going to take the word of some cartoon character who parades around as the quote-unquote real Indiana Jones, and there are several. I'm not picking on anybody in particular here. Who tells you that the Smithsonian is hiding things from you, or that we're all a bunch of shills that are paid by some higher up to keep our mouths shut and to perpetuate disinformation. It's a bunch of paranoid conspiracy nonsense, plain and simple. I'm just a regular guy. I get up, I take my kids to school in the morning. I've got dirt underneath my fingernails from doing stuff. I wear normal clothes. I don't dress like Indiana Jones. I don't have, a fancy treasure hunting van. Don't have a big funny hat. I don't have big crazy hair. I don't have my own TV show. I'm not a New York Times best-selling author. I probably got less than 200 followers on YouTube. Can't check right now because the internet's out. You know, just me, just a guy with a PhD and almost 30 years of experience. So, you know, I blog and they say, well, you're not, you know, you talk about this or this and there's all this, like how can all this be wrong? And I say, just give me the best piece of information. What's the single best piece of evidence that you've got for a civilization during the Ice Age? You know, show me the site. What's the name of it? Like, let's talk about the evidence, not the idea which you claim you have support for, but like talk about the one thing. What's the strong piece that I can't deny? And most of the time those people go away. They just throw out a bunch of names of stuff that is, it's all weak coffee. You know, the metaphor is, if you want strong coffee, a good cup of strong coffee, you're not going to get that by adding weak coffee into more weak coffee. So find me the piece of evidence, the one piece of evidence. Find it somewhere where it can't be faked, somewhere where it's buried, where it's sealed, where it's been protected. And you know, as I said in the video about archaeology as a science, that's all you really need. That's it. Should be simple. There's an Ice Age civilization that existed here. There are deposits all over this continent that are the right age, that have not been destroyed by the quote-unquote cataclysmic flood. Find artifacts in those deposits. You know, I get emails all the time of people finding all kinds of quote-unquote artifacts, you know, and they're pictures of rocks that fit nicely in your hand, and they're not artifacts. It's an easy enough mistake to make. I have relatives who make the same mistake, and some who didn't believe me for a long time that, you know, what you're holding in your hand is not actually an artifact. It's just yet another dimension of people kind of seeing what they want to see, not having the expertise to understand what they're looking at. That's one of the reasons why I'm making these videos, because I know that there are a lot of different audiences out there. Some of you have religious reasons for believing strongly what you believe. That's fine. I'm probably not going to convince you otherwise. A lot of the people who are putting these ideas out there have financial interests in perpetuating them. They're selling a lot of books. They're getting themselves on TV. None of them are real archaeologists. They don't have the expertise to really know what they're talking about. They haven't been trained to think and to understand how you get to a reasonable, plausible explanation of the past, given the evidence that you have. They are often they're holding on to these ideas and claims and, you know, pieces of quote-unquote evidence so closely that they can't discard the ones that don't fit because they are near and dear to their hearts. Religion, finance, there have got to be some mental issues in terms of understanding reality going on, and I'm not going to get into what that, but I'm sure it's out there. It's an undercurrent. All of those people, those groups, the religious part, the financial part, you know, whether they know that they're spreading baloney or not, and the mental illness aspect, I don't think I'm probably going to change any of those minds. Some people don't want their minds to be changed. Whatever, that's fine. There are, though, a lot of people out there who are simply curious. They will search for things, they will find videos or blog posts or whatever, and archaeologists do need to provide our own voice. We are, of course, lots of different people. We are not a monolithic group. Nobody's telling us what to say, but we need to engage in the same arena that the misinformation is perpetuated in order to be part of that conversation. And so that's my rationale in doing this. And so then we can get to my agenda, finally. I will reveal it to you. It is to actually understand the past in a realistic, plausible way, to have ideas that are credible, that fit with all the existing evidence. We do not know everything about the past. We know a heck of a lot more about it, though, than we did 100 or 150 years ago, when a lot of these ideas about lost civilizations and Atlantis and Mu and all that, when all those were germinating. We know more now than we used to, and that trend will continue because of the way science winnows out information that is bad we are left with facts that you can take to the bank, that you can depend on. And that is how you build a story that is actually gives you a chance of being right about how the past unfolded. So my agenda is to help build that story. An important part of that is throwing out and helping to throw out stuff that doesn't make any sense, stuff that can be proven false. It matters to me what the public thinks about the past because the past actually matters. If you look at how the Nazis tried to use archaeology, if you look at some of this nationalist archaeology where people are using claims about the past in order to warrant their interpretations of the future and how they treat other human beings, you will understand that the past matters. You know, where does human variation come from? Why are there people with dark skin and people with light skin? The fringe has all kinds of things to say about that that are completely wrong. And in fact, it matters. It matters quite a bit. It matters if you look at the colonial enterprise of the 1800s and 1900s, 1700s. It matters that if you look at the genocide of Native Americans in this country. It matters if you look at the institution of slavery and all the downstream effects of that in the United States. And it matters in a lot of other places around the world in a lot of different ways. So it matters to me what people think about the past and how they think about it. As I said, I don't have all of the answers, and any archaeologist who claims he or she does have all the other answers is not being straight with you, but I don't know anyone who actually thinks that way. I think we are all curious, and we are all doing our best to try to figure out what the past is, and it drives a lot of us nuts to see ideas out there that are so obviously logically flawed and factually wrong get perpetuated. So you can call me whatever names you want, but part of my job and part of what I consider a public service to archaeology and to, trying to do what I can to help produce a public that is more educated about the past is to point out those things that are wrong and to discuss them and to try to reach an audience that might be willing to hear that message. That's my agenda. I'm teaching Forbidden Archaeology again this fall. It'll be the third time around. Our theme is going to be, at least the theme before I write the syllabus, is going to be 3 big lies, which I see kind of dovetailing and entangling, with each other all throughout the history of archaeology in the world and the United States in particular. And those 3 big lies are that Native Americans did not build the mounds. This goes back to the mound builder myth and that sort of thing. There's a lot of history and politics and social issues and things that are entangled with that, and still today in the fringe movement. That's lie number 1. There's just no evidence for it, by the way. Zip, 0. Lie number 2 is that there's something special about whiteness, about people with light-colored skin, and you will see this in Atlantis mythology. You will see it in a lot of the Nazi stuff and the white supremacist archaeology and fringe theory kind of stuff that's out there today, and also obviously in the colonial enterprise and the enterprise of slavery and that sort of thing. The third big lie is that there's the academic conspiracy to suppress knowledge. It's really important for that part of the puzzle to be in a lot of fringe thinking, because that is the way they explain why there is no evidence for something, because someone is hiding it from them and they're hiding it from you. So we'll talk about that. All of those things go together in a lot of different complicated and interesting ways. So in this course we study the history of those things, we study facts, and we also talk about how to address those kinds of claims. We'll probably do some writing, and we'll probably do some more videos this semester. I haven't exactly figured it out yet. The class is bigger than it used to be, so that'll be good. Maybe I'll try to have a guest speaker or 2, or Skype some people in. I haven't decided that yet either, because it's summer and I'm not working that much. Okay, so now you know my agenda. So comment all you want. Tell me I'm an idiot. Insult my appearance. Whatever you need to do. As long as you're watching the videos, I'm happy you're here. Thank you.